Welcome to Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the dollar crashing, pumping. Bitcoin is now the best time to be buying altcoins. Is this the altcoin season, or are we going to see more for Bitcoin dominance? All this and more on today's episode of Blockchain Basement. Let's get it. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we.
All right, welcome into Blockchain Basement. Gonna have a really good episode for you guys today. Have a really good lineup, really good guests. The one and only, the infamous Johnny, who does a lot of our deep research, aka is JChilds520, right? Yeah, JChilds520 on Twitter. Yep. Puts a lot of really good stuff out there, a lot of deep picks, a lot of ZK picks, a lot of airdrops. So make sure to check him out. I know you guys have been asking to have him on the show. And of course, the one and only Mr. Cavs, Mr. Candles, Mr. TA himself, Frankie Candles joining us. We've got both Biscuit, Jesus, BJ, and Drew out of town right now on the board. The one and only AJ Writes Crypto. He's going to be pushing all the buttons for us today, popping in, making sure the show runs well. And of course, WD's or WB's favorite host, myself, and the lovely Allie Lee joining us today.
Hello.
We're having tacos for lunch, guys, in case you guys are wondering. So yeah, I wanted to jump right in. Today's going to be more discussion based, not as much. We might look at the price in here in just a minute. I mean, here, I'll give you the price real quick, just so you guys know. Been binging and bonging around this morning, as Frank would say. We're at coming right at 28,000. Ethereum right at 1,900. It did drop from. I mean, did go a little bit below 28,000 earlier. It was as high as almost 28.6, almost 28.7 this morning, and then bouncing around. We might come back to that a little bit, but really just wanted to keep it more discussion based today. So get involved in the chat. Let us know what your thoughts are on a lot of this stuff. But I really wanted to ask Frank, ask AJ, and just talk with you guys about kind of. I'm hearing a lot about, hey, 30K is all of a sudden right back in the cards again. Everybody's bullish about 30K. Everybody's talking about altcoin this, altcoin that. Alts are shaping up really well for a lot of different things. Part of me is just gut-wise saying, I'm feeling a pullback to 20K, but also part of me looking at the 2019 thing. CryptoDog put something out that just showed kind of the trend that we went on in 2019 that could back up this 30K or, push even up into the 40Ks, all that sort of stuff. So I want to talk about that. But before we jump into that, I want to ask you guys my take, and you just kind of agree or disagree. I feel like right now, people are kind of over, like the dollar showing weakness is real. Like that matters. We are seeing cracks in the fiat system, the U.S. global reserve currency. But I don't think it's quite as dire as everybody's making it out to be. Like we're going to be, here's kind of, where did I put that? Here we go. Here's kind of what set this up, made me want to bring this up. Benjamin Cowan tweeted this last night. Wild times. We got recession trending and alt season both trending at the same time. And so I just kind of, that just shows the mixed feelings in the market right now. So Frank, let me ask you this. Like, do you think, before I get into the stats on the dollar, what is your just gut feeling on if we lose reserve currency status? Is it going to be as dire as everybody's saying? Is it bad? How bad? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, I feel Benjamin Cowan on this. It is really interesting. It's like you got people screaming recession, people calling for altcoin season. As far as altcoin season, I personally don't really see, like, I do think we can get to 30K. My overall sentiment right now, at least for crypto, is bullish. Kind of looking, TJ, like you were just saying, in 2019, kind of that fake out bull market that we saw, a little fake out bull rally. Basically came up, we came pretty close. We came within $5,000, I think, of the all-time high of 2017. And I think A lot of people are stuck with their bearish vision,
Yep.
and then they hear 30K and they hear higher prices and they think there's just no way, we're still in a bear market. But people don't realize that you can get massive pumps in a bear market. It doesn't mean that we're going to 100K, we're going to new all-time highs, but we could easily get runs up, not even to 30K, but if we can get above 30K and start holding up there's some higher targets that I'm looking at that would, if we get up to 48 to 50K where we have a macro golden pocket, we still would not be anywhere near the explosivity of the pump in 2019. So
Yep.
I do see a possibility of getting up there, but locally, I do have to say most of the technicals are pointing more towards a pullback for sure.
Okay, AJ, what do you think about on a macro level dollar? Like we lose say US loses a stronghold on reserve trade all being through the dollar. We're starting to see cracks of it. Everybody's screaming. Everyone's the dollar's dead. Everyone's trading in yuan. How quickly do you think something like that could change, or what's your take on it? And maybe let me read you guys this before. Well, go ahead. I'll let you answer first, and then I'll read the stats.
Okay. Yeah, no
and you
problem.
gotta get right up on that mic sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I can't talk with the headphones
I don't
off.
blame you.
Hard.
Yeah.
Trump did that whole, interview and everything's terrible.
Mhm.
Dollars crash. Everything's terrible. Very sad. Very sad. And, it's kind of hard to not listen to the guy. Like, I'm not exactly like the biggest Trump fan or whatever, but like he does have a lot of what he's saying. A lot of countries are turning their back on the dollar, the whole like brick story. I mean, there's a lot of factors here that are really not in the dollar's favor. And like how that bleeds to crypto. I mean, I agree with what Frank said. We're definitely, all signs are pointing to a pullback. I did a poll today on Twitter asking, what are we going to touch first? Are we going to touch 30K? Are we going to do 26K? And so far, I think over 100 or so people voted, and it's basically 50-50, which is kind of not really a surprise to me because it just shows that people are torn. People are kind of confused about like the next big move that's going to make. But I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I'm going to choose a side here. We're going to touch 26 before we touch 30.
Yeah, I tend to feel the same way, and we'll come back to how that affects alts in a little bit because I think it's a pretty nuanced discussion there. You've got micro cap alts, you've got mid cap alts, some of the larger cap alts and stuff. Watching Bitcoin and Ethereum's relationships pretty important, but obviously doing airdrops is a little bit of a different story. But I do want to touch on that in a minute. But this is Mark Moss tweeted this out, and it really kind of echoed the sentiment I've been thinking a lot, where you're hearing it screamed really so loudly. He mentioned Trump talking about it. You got mainstream media talking about it. You got everybody on Twitter. All these, and I do want to emphasize the problems with the dollar are real. The fiat system does not work. The banking system is on the verge of collapse. Fiat, we are starting the transition out of a fiat-based system. I believe it's going to be a long transition. But here's some of the stats. When you're hearing everybody saying like the dollar is dead, everyone's trading in yuan, it's just simply not true. He says, but only 1.33% of global payments were in yuan in January, compared with 40%. Now this is January. We're in April at this point. Really should be looking at March numbers, but they're not out yet. But and this is obviously these are trending into the yuan's favor into February, March. But there's a long way to go, and that's the main point I'm trying to make. 40% of trade in US dollars, 38% in euros, 7% in pound, 3% in yen. So still, they've got to double what they're doing just to catch the 3% that Japan is doing. So that's just to put it in perspective for you guys. This is the other thing that I think is really key. And the world's central bank holds around 60% of their reserves in USD. So we're talking billions, trillions of dollars all around the world that is still in US dollars, and they're not just going to switch overnight. They're not just going to say like, hey, the US is using their reserve currency as a tool to bully us. We're going to assume nobody else will do that. That just doesn't make logical sense. If you see one party doing it, using this power to their advantage, you're going to assume somebody else with a similar power would also use it to their advantage, which is like what would happen if everybody just switched to yuan or switched to something else, this BRICS thing. The idea is they don't want to be forced. They want to have options and choice. So I think that's good. And I think the more we have options and choice, it's going to start skewing towards Bitcoin, skewing towards things that preserve buying power and that separate money from politics. So I think all of this works well at our advantage. It will be interesting to see if Trump takes that angle, like, hey, we need to move away from I already said, guys, I'm having tacos for lunch. Tacos. There you go. There you go. Steak tacos. They're actually very good.
They
I don't
look
get a chance to eat them because I have to talk so much.
Very nice tacos.
You do that pretty good.
I've been hanging out with Drew too much.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Very sad. Oh, that somebody asked in the comments why he was saying that. It's I guess a Trump joke there. So
Yep.
All right. So just to put it in perspective, I do think we will lose reserve currency status. I don't think it's going to happen very, very quickly. I also don't think it's going to kill our way of life immediately. I think it's going to take years. Maybe, I mean, it can happen fast, but I would consider 2 years to be very fast. So, but I really think it's going to be more like 5 or 8, or we're going to transition into something completely different. Hopefully Bitcoin, most likely some type of CBDC-esque type currency. So we'll see where that goes.
I kind of feel like, changing to a different world reserve is definitely going to take a while, and it might even take a war.
Mm-hmm.
We take this very seriously as America.
Oh, yeah.
We want to be the apex predator. We want to be top dog. And for us we're not going to give that away. We're not just going to hand it over. Like the rest of the world is going to say, you know what, this is the world reserve. And then we're going to say, no, it's not. And then we're going to argue, and it's going to be a thing. I mean, in history, countries generally keep the world reserve currency for 100 years at a time on average. We've been world reserve for 78 or 79 years. So about a 20-year war would be, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen without a fight, in my opinion. I don't know. That's how I feel.
No, I agree.
I 100% agree with that too. Just real quick, back to what we were talking about last time I was on the show last week. The Ray Dalio, the Changing World Order. If you guys have not seen that video, go watch that video. It's like, it's like we're right on track.
It is a good video. It's also another one he's got. I think it's just called Economics 101 or something. I think it's Economics 101 that just talks about markets and debt and how money's created and a lot of that stuff. I think it's everybody should watch that because it will help you wrap your head around like, just all the different markets, whether you're talking wheat market or oil market or, currency or, there's all these different markets and all these different buyers and sellers. And it's pretty well done. What's up? What you got, Johnny?
I think we'll start to see like a consolidation of like some of the Western powers, pulling back and seeing some tightening with the lending. As far as like war and all that stuff, I don't think it's nowhere near that part. I mean, we can't really force Saudi Arabia, for example, to take our dollar, so that's
we've done it before. We've done it like in the Middle East before. But I agree in the sense that it's not going to be war like the traditional sense of war with like boots on the ground, armies, tanks, that sort of stuff. It's going to be a lot more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what it's
Get up in that
more
mic.
like trade war and stuff like that, where we have a lot more. So it sounds good right now. A lot of these countries are pulling out of the U.S. dollar, but it's like one of those things. Be careful what you wish for, because it's not just the money that we offer. We have a lot of leeway when it comes to borrowing and lending and just being able to do a lot of things because of the amount of capital, of amount of wealth that we generate here in our country. A lot of other countries can't generate the type of wealth. Their citizens ain't allowed to generate the type of wealth that the U.S. puts out. For me, it's a little bit more concerning. I'm a little bit older, so 10 years ago, I could have never even imagined hearing the U.S. dollar was never going to be reserve currency. So, I still wonder what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, it's like we're still a massive powerhouse, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
I agree 100%.
Great take.
Yeah, it was a great take. Somebody said it in the chat. The Real Crypto Steve says the U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 100 years. Before that, it was the British pound. So that will give you a little perspective. It's not like, obviously when the pound crashed, it definitely affected England and Britain and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't mean that they're irrelevant in the global landscape of global trade. They still have, to Johnny's point, a lot of relevant means to contributing to the world. And I think that's part of what we're going to have here, where Europe and the United States, I just showed the stats. They're still making up, 70% of the trades, 38% in euros, 40% in dollars. So they can still band together, and kind of try to fight this global trade that's happening. And there's a lot you can do with currency. I do think we'll start to see some sort of consolidation. And I think this is good. We're going to start to see some real free market competition when it comes to, where people store their assets, store their value, whether it's a one separated from state. Like, hey, if some of these countries can get together and make something that's pretty powerful for a few years, like that as long as it encourages, as long as it gives people freedom of choice, I'm all for it. Whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Altcoin, even some of these CBDCs, if they can get out there and get in people's hands and give people the opportunity to choose between this state-sponsored asset and this non-state sponsored asset, I think it will just slowly, the market will just transition over towards more free assets because they will perform better, in my opinion. So, but I agree with what you're saying there, Johnny. Great take. So, all right, let's talk about altcoins versus Bitcoin a little bit. This is another one, you know, Fabian, I like sharing his tweets. He says, equity markets are selling today. And this is yesterday. Oh no, this is this morning. Equity markets are selling today. Crypto majors are holding up okay. But more interestingly, BTC Bitcoin dominance is falling versus alt. So we were looking at that a little bit this morning. On the morning stream, you could see very clearly, you know, yesterday, I think Bitcoin dominance was pushing 46 and ETH was under, it was like 18.9. Now we've got this falling back down towards 45 and really strong push for Ethereum here, getting up in the dominance, which is, I mean, you can see reflected here. It's sitting at 1900, really, you know, up 5% on the week, while Bitcoin more or less flat. So Ethereum to Bitcoin had been lagging up until about this part in the cycle. Ethereum makes up that ground pretty quick, and it's just something to keep an eye on. That's what he was talking about here. He says, if equities pick up the pace, alts may still give in, but I take these as small signs that sell pressure on alts is exhausting, barring any major panic events. So I tend to agree with that last statement. And whoever in the chat always calls me out, I do say I tend to agree a lot. I saw that yesterday. I was going to respond and didn't get a chance. But I do feel like the sell pressure on alts are exhausting. That being said, when Bitcoin pulls back, you see alts get hammered almost every single time. So what's your take on that, Frank, when it comes to altcoins in this part of the cycle? Again, traditionally, we saw Bitcoin do extremely well through 2019. Obviously, the altcoin market is very different in 2023 than we were in 2019. There's a lot more relevant altcoins out there, in my opinion, to kind of suck up good capital. TJ tendies often. Thanks, BJ. So what do you, at this point of the cycle, what's your approach with looking to altcoins when you're talking, and do you have a different approach for mid cap to, you know, to like micro cap, some of these, you know, like ZK Sync or Starknet or some of the stuff we talked about yesterday? Yeah,
I think you make a good point too. I also think just in this cycle, crypto's just in a completely different situation. Like you said, you know, nowadays, you know, rather than in 2019, nowadays, you know, there's altcoins, but, you know, crypto's been around for a lot longer. There, you know, people have been in it longer. I think people trust altcoins a lot more, where, you know, back in the last cycle, they were all looked at more as a gamble. People weren't really looking at altcoins in a bear market. However, typically, yeah, when we see Bitcoin, this is the one thing that kind of makes me think that, you know, that kind of cautions me on the altcoins right now, is if Bitcoin is going to get that pullback to, you know, between 26 and 24/7, that is kind of where, you know, like TJ just said, you know, the alts will get obliterated. You know, now I'm not saying, you know, maybe obliterated is the wrong word, but if Bitcoin gets that big pullback, you know, the alts are going to pull back more. So that's the only thing that that kind of has me leaning a little bit more cautious towards the altcoins. But obviously you have those, the outliers, the outlying altcoins that do well in a bear market. And we've seen that happen in this cycle as well. But, you know, just as of right now, listen, if we get a rip up to 30K and we can hold up there and get higher, obviously the altcoins are going to start doing good. And what happens when we see, you know, Bitcoin kind of just stall out? It gives those altcoins some room to run, which again, we have started to see a little bit of as Bitcoin's kind of been just ranging around here. I think that might be why people are calling for alt season, or at least why some people are. We just have Bitcoin kind of consolidating, ETH starting to push up. It does make a lot of sense. But I am just being cautious of that pullback. So yeah, if we do get that pullback, though, I will say if we can hold that 25K level, I will be dropping some heavy bags in some alts, because I've been lighter on the alt. I've been open about this. I've been a lot lighter on my altcoin accumulations, you know, in the past few months, right? I've been accumulating for a while now, just slowly, but it's been more Bitcoin and ETH heavy. But if we do get that pullback to 25K, I will start stacking altcoins a lot more heavily.
Bud Lightyear asked, do we still consider this a crab market?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define crab. I mean, for me, I've been saying since the beginning of the year, I think we're going to range between 20 and 28. So far, we've been doing about that. If you consider that crab, you know, some people would say, hey, that's a 40% gain. You know, you're doing great, but just kind of depends.
And DJ Flex, you think this next bull run will be the end of diminishing returns for real or nah?
Yeah, I do 100%. Diminishing returns on Bitcoin. I do think this cycle we will see the reversal of that, meaning, you know, like I don't remember what they all are at the top of our head. I think it was like 2.4 or 2.7, something like that, returns that we got from on the last Bitcoin cycle. I think we're going to break well above 100K into the 200K range, which would snap diminishing returns, in my opinion. And then Danny Carney says, smash that like button to help support the stream. We do have about 300 people watching live on YouTube right now. Only 77 likes. So if you guys don't mind what you're doing, take a quick, or don't mind doing us a favor, take a quick second, smash that like button. It helps more people learn about Bitcoin, about altcoins, about the weakness of the dollar and how to prepare themselves for the future and change their lives for the better. There you go. We would really appreciate that. And if you're in the basement on Twitch, if you could hop over, hit the button, at least hit the like button on YouTube and then hop back. We really
love you,
appreciate
basement.
that too. Gata Life asking what I'm benching these days. I'm still trying to work my way. I'm really working on reps and depth, but I'm getting close to 300. I can do 225 for 10. Pretty good. Yeah.
Dang. That's no joke.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to do reps right now. I'm trying to get, and I had a hard time with this last little part at the very bottom because of my previous shoulders, but man, it helps a lot. So, but yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely. I'm trying to, I guess I'm bulking up, whether I want to or not right now. So I've just been gaining weight. Everyone's like, man, are you bulking? I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to start saying I'm bulking.
Yes, it sounds lazy out. Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm bulking too.
Yeah, there you go. Allie and I are bulking together. So trying to prepare for future life. So, all right.
That's a thing, actually.
It is. Yeah.
It is a thing. Yeah.
It is a thing.
Statistically, you gain about 15 pounds if your wife or your significant other is having a baby.
There you go. Well, I'm right on schedule. And I'm tracking like the Bitcoin market, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Since I moved to Georgia, I gained 15 pounds like the first week.
Yeah,
it doesn't go away.
Yeah,
it doesn't go away. It stays forever, and I don't know what to do. Somebody help me. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. We need to do. Well, Joel had an idea. Hit Network Gaming. If you guys haven't subscribed to Hit Network Gaming, please go do that. Check it out. It's a great channel. They have a lot of fun. He was talking about doing a weight loss challenge with everybody in the office, or some people in the office. So
I'm out.
There you go. Anybody who wants to sign up, maybe we can all do it together. Hudson's out here running marathons, but I can't keep up with that. But all right, so Johnny, do you have any thoughts on alt season versus Bitcoin dominance right now?
No, I mean, I really, yeah, of course, I follow the cycles and everything. I believe the cycles as well. That's the most reliable, the most reliable way to kind of judge where we're at as far as Bitcoin price and altcoins and all that type of stuff. But for me, it's more just DCAing. I stay consistently trying to DCA into something new and something, and when I figure out it's not working, I try something else. But, I
like that. No, that's a great strategy. And it shows that there's a lot of different approaches, a lot of different ways you can, what works for one person may not work for another person. This person's style might be different than that person's style. So I've done that a lot too, where you buy when you feel like you like a project and it's at a good price, and you try to take profits where you take profits, or DCA into, a handful of solid coins. I think that's a great strategy. Cause I'm torn right now. I feel like my gut says I could just, and this is based just purely on what I've from watching Bitcoin for years and years. My gut says it's time for a pullback. I don't know, things are feeling a little too optimistic, a little too euphoric. There's too many bullish narratives where everybody's expecting 30K. Everybody's, kind of leaning one direction. It feels like, everybody's like, if they came out and said they're going to do another raise in May, I think that would cause a dramatic pullback, like something pretty big where we go back down and maybe go back down and retest 25, maybe even fall below 25 and retest 20 in that range again, which we may or may not happen. That's just what my gut says. But then when you look at the stats, I saw this, that was where I was leaning as of last night, this morning. I saw this from Crypto Dog, basically 2:00 this morning. In 2019, crypto trended up from the cycle bottom all the way until July. And I just remember thinking, did it really just go straight up? Because I didn't feel that way. So I went back and looked, and I wanted to just do this live with us here. So if you go to the all, we're talking about the 2019 bear market. So all you have to do is you look down here. That's the 2017 peak. We'll pull this in to get a little bit more perspective. Let's go back to, here's 2020-ish. So basically, and there's the 2020 run up right there. But we'll go back. So here's the 2017 peak. And if you can hold it. It's so funny how big this stuff looks. And then, that looks huge. And then you look and it looks tiny now. But if you come back, we'll make this look nice and big. We'll get rid of the early days of Bitcoin. And this is what we're looking at here. So it really, 2017 ran all the way up to 20K, basically right here around 20K in December 2017. And then fell for almost exactly a year, December 2018. We've got this U-shaped bottom right here. And then it really, because I was thinking I thought we ranged a lot more in here, but we really didn't. You know, between December 2018 and then it's just pretty much straight up and to the right. One little dip. Let's see, when it got to 10K, probably, yeah, like it was approaching 10K the first time. One little dip back down to 8, but then boom, ran right up to, let's see, this is where it hit it, right? Yeah. August, really July, right here, 11K, you know, it could be 10K, depends, you know, 14K on certain exchanges. I remember it hitting. So it really went from the bottom straight to 12 to 14K before ranging for quite some time. You know, then this is what felt like the brutal range right here. Just range all the way into 2020. And then you get the really the halving was right here. This was the halving pump kind of, and well, it was more right here, May. So again, halving came, we pumped into the halving, then nothing. A little celebration here to 10K, and then boom, really the party really started after that. We went all the way up to the top of the cycle here. So it really got me thinking like, well, then if we follow that pattern, you know, we're due, where are we at? Right here. Let me back up.
It is so eerily similar.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. So like realistically, we would be, you know, we're probably a month behind because this was the bottom in December. We top in December, bottom in December. Ours were both in November now. So we're probably like in, you know, like right in this part, this first run up here, you know, and if it goes all the way up, that could run basically straight to, call it 35, call it 40. I don't know. Like we have some serious volume resistance at like 40K. That's kind of those levels you were talking about, Frank. But if it follows the same pattern, maybe we run, you know, just slowly churn up until about June, get a pullback there, and then range for a while until halving and get it going again. Like that just really got me thinking once he basically said just straight up from the cycle until July. I'm like, didn't feel straight up. You go look, it definitely was straight up. So and it could be, again, we could be trending right along that right now. Like if we pull this all the way back out, get rid of all this, you know, here's our U-shaped bottom in November. You know, we're started to churn up. I mean, it's pretty much going straight up and to the right for the most part. I mean, we got some pullback, you know, some healthy pullbacks. But you know, if you follow that same logic, give it another month or two, and we're well into the 30s. And then the problem is, if that happens, everybody's screaming for new all-time highs. Like that's what was happening for us, at least in 2019. Everybody, oh man, like when you're at 14K and previous all-time highs 20K, I mean, that seems like within striking distance. If we get to 45, you know, anything above 40, people are gonna be like, oh man, all-time highs right around the corner. You know, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna, you know, you're gonna hear so many narratives. And then, man, people are going to get wiped out coming back down to these 28K levels, 20K levels.
Gary Gensler said it's cold down here.
It's cold in the basement.
Something interesting, TJ, comparing that 2019 rally to right now is in that 2019 rally, we ran up right to the macro golden pocket. If you pull a fib from the all-time high to the bottom of the 2018 bear market, we ran right up to test that macro golden pocket that was at that 14K level. So if you pull that same fib from the all-time high in 2021 to the bottom, if you know at 15.5, that macro golden pocket comes between 48 and 50K. So that is my most bullish case, is that we go up and run up and test that local golden or that macro golden pocket like we did in 2019, get up to 48 to 50K. Like you just said, like, could you imagine the people who would be calling for $1 million Bitcoin if that was happening? Oh yeah, people would be going nuts. That's what Daniel Nace said. People would be going nuts. And then a 50% pullback from there, that's enough to pretty much wipe out anybody who hasn't gotten off the shit. Like either you're in it forever, or if you're getting back in, you're holding out all your hope, and then it starts to pump and you get that one more, you know, that's true capitulation, just wiping out any weak hands right there. You know, if it drops, say it goes all the way to 50K, pulls all the way back down to 25K, people are like, all right, you know what, I'm done, I'm out. And then generally speaking, that's right about the time things really start to move up and take off. So where did it go? Somebody, is it possible to share a trading view chart with you? I mapped out 2023 to 2025 completely based on time frames. It follows with a lot of what you just shared. This is the Bitcoin way. Yeah, there's, I mean, you can send it to Twitter. You can email it. I want to see if I give out my email, but Instagram. I mean, it depends. I guess it's going to be a link to a trading view chart. So yeah, there's a lot. Just DM it on Twitter, DM it on Instagram. I'll keep an eye out for it. If you have a different name on Twitter, this is the Bitcoin way, just tell me what it is. So because sometimes I have to go in the general or in the requests or whatever and look for it. So connect on Twitter, on the Hit Network _Twitter. Perfect. Thank you.
and then I'll keep an eye out for it. So this was just another fun fact for why regulators can't regulate. Goldman was just fined $3 million. This blows my mind for mistakenly marking short sales as longs. And it allowed the firm to short millions of shares while the short sale circuit breakers were in effect. So if you guys don't know, if things start moving too fast on the stock market, they have these things called circuit breakers, which will stop trading over a period of 3 entire years. So they had this, I mean, you can call it an accident. You can call it call it a strategy. They were making this pretty big mistake, basically doing the opposite of what they were supposed to be doing. That led to a massive financial gain for them. So Goldman breaks the rules, profits. Then FINRA issues a slap on the wrist fine for $3 million and keeps $1.1 million for themselves.
Wow. They fined them $3 million.
$3 million.
I don't know how much they made.
Yeah,
right.
Good God.
Right.
Well, that's what this is talking about. New York-based Goldman Sachs was censured and will pay $3 million for mistakenly marking about 60 million short orders, not dollars, orders as long, and failing to maintain a reasonable supervision of the system. Because of the inaccurate categorization, 12,335 of the executed orders were at or below the national best bid while a short sale circuit breaker was in place, regulators said in documents filed today. So yeah, like you said, they probably made hundreds of millions of dollars for doing this over the last 3 years. And they know that they're going to get fined when they get caught for doing this. And so they build that right into their models when they're trying to come up with these schemes like, hey, like, this is not legal. We will get fined if they catch us doing this. But if they do, they'll fine us probably about this much. We can make $300 million, pay a $3 million fine. It's cost of doing business. You know, let's lock it and load it. Let's go. And they do it over and over and over and over again. And there doesn't really seem to be any real recourse for it. And it's because the whole system is corrupt, because the people that are bringing these fines, they just made $1 million, and it was the easiest $1 million they ever had to make. Bring this thing against them, get it paid, and it's just the cost of doing business for them, and the cycle continues. And that's the problem with centralized banking, centralized regulation, centralized government. It always starts to, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And
Biscuit Jesus said that's like saying we'll fine you $2 million for every 100 mil you steal. Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's a deal. I'll take that all day.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. Moving on. Who wants to talk a little bit about, any thoughts? Anybody have any opinions on that? I mean, it's just pretty much just sad.
Just run of the mill.
Sad.
Not surprising. Yeah.
Frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess what kills me is that they're always going after crypto and pointing the finger at us, how dirty we are, like FTX, Voyager, all that. And they don't blame that on the bad actors, the SBFs of the world. They blame it on crypto because it's crypto's fault that happened, but it's really just a couple greedy people that give everyone else a bad reputation. But meanwhile, JP Morgan is pulling off the ultimate scheme, and it's working, and it's no one even knows. I bet you 98% of people don't even know that this happened, which is the best part.
Absolutely. Yep. They do it over, like I say, they do it over and over. That doesn't make mainstream media. You got to dig for that. You got to look for it. So wanted to shout out one of our good basement dwellers, Razmataz. I'm sure he's in here. He's in here almost every day.
He is.
But yeah, he posted on Twitter and shared, he said, I put blockchain basement into Midjourney. Looks something between Drew Wider and looks like something Drew Wider has running underneath his house, which I agree with 100%.
That's a
definitely,
bunker.
Yeah, he's got something going on down there. Don't start opening those drawers. You don't know what you're gonna find. Might be miners, might be ammo, might be who knows what. But
you never know.
But somebody else, we put one in. We got this for blockchain basement. We got a little Bitcoin in the basement, and he said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A little too much murder room to feel it, but much, much better. So anyway, I just wanted to see if any of you guys out there wanted to take and submit and make some kind of Midjourney artwork, blockchain basement related. Maybe we could work it into some of the set designs here, some of this different stuff going on.
That's a vibe.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to retweet.
Shout out Razmataz.
Yeah, what's your best design? If you guys have anything cool, come drop it on this thread, and we'll try to incorporate it into what we're doing. But yeah, it was a great idea, Razmataz. I thought it looked really cool. So shout out to Razmataz, being one of the best and bravest basement dwellers among us. So yeah, I love a little alliteration there. So let's see, what do we want to talk about? I guess we'll talk about this. Microstrategy adds another 1,045 Bitcoin to its growing crypto treasury. If you guys don't know, Microstrategy, one of the largest public holders of Bitcoin. This is actually one of his favorite price points to buy at. He's bought a lot of Bitcoin around the $28,000 price point in the past, at least just from my memory. I mean, he's bought all over the place, but I want to say his blended average, it's probably below 28 at this point, because I think he did buy pretty close to the bottom. But generally, I want to say, and maybe it says it in here, but Microstrategy buys another 1,045 Bitcoin, which is about 29.3 million, taking its total holdings to 140,000 BTC, worth over 12.6 billion. American intelligence firm has just announced its latest acquisition of Bitcoin. Basically what they are now, they are completely correlated with Bitcoin. Their entire business is based on it. Talk about conviction and going all in. Basically, he's raised tons of money on the back of his business and uses it all to buy Bitcoin. So
yeah, their average Bitcoin buy 2 hours ago was 29,803.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, 28, obviously very close. 29,000 is his average blended buy. Like I said, this seems to be his favorite range to accumulate, and he bought a lot on the way down, buying more on the way up. Tends to make a lot of sense. It's also a great, strong technical level. That being said, it almost always dumps after I'd have to go look at this on a chart, but it just, again, feels like experience-wise, like when he buys, it pulls back almost every single time right afterwards. So this might be a good time to go down and retest 20K. Like he's definitely not a Jim Cramer, but
a conspiracy. William Carey said, "Do you think MicroStrategy is buying for J.P. Morgan and others?"
Well, go look. I mean, well, all you have to do is go. Let's see. Let's look at stock ownership of MicroStrategy. See who owns it. It's not 100. I don't think it's privately owned, right? It's a public company.
Yeah.
Who owns most shares in MicroStrategy? Give me a second. Oh, here we go. I don't know what this date is. So there you go. Citadel, aka Robinhood. You've got Jane Street. Now, where who came out of Jane Street? Capital, which is formerly SBF. Capital World Investors, Group 1 Trading, Vanguard Group, BlackRock.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. That's who he's buying Bitcoin for.
That was a great question, William Carey.
Yeah, and that goes to show, like, that's another thing to keep in mind. You got to look at who owns, like MicroStrategy owns the Bitcoin, but who owns MicroStrategy? Who owns, the Nubank in Brazil, Bitcoin mine, Berkshire Hathaway involved in that. And a lot of times if you go look at the owner, Fidelity owns a lot of stuff. Visa and MasterCard involved with a lot of crypto related things. Like I said, Fidelity, JP Morgan Chase, extremely involved in Ethereum and all sorts of other chains. So you got to go look at what they're doing, where they're putting their money, what they're buying, what they own, and just completely disregard what they're saying, or use what they're saying as a reverse indicator. Like it's hard to kind of read into their intentions sometimes. I think you're probably best off ignoring the words that they're saying and just looking at their actions. That being said, it's kind of fun to, theorize about why they might say what they might say. So, but if you go look, so many of the top, go look at who owns Coinbase, go look at, anything when we were looking at Digital Currency Group and all of these different businesses, equity positions within blockchain, Vanguard, BlackRock, Fidelity, Berkshire Hathaway, not Berkshire Hathaway less so, but mostly Vanguard, BlackRock, all over all of that stuff. So when you go look at Grayscale, go look at, like all of these investment vehicles that have turned into Bitcoin and Ethereum digital asset accumulation entity vehicles, obviously have big money investors behind them. So, but yeah, great question. I always love looking at that. It's always interesting. So speaking of maybe not so great, I don't know if we're set up to do the sound on this or not.
I'm not sure.
So maybe we won't do this video today, but I was watching this last night. It's pretty creepy. Drew shared it too. Drew, is with us in spirits. Is super safe. I'm sure this won't go rogue. Basically, they're now testing, and you can't really hear the questions he's asking. They're testing. This is a chat GPT, which, side note, I did watch the South Park episode about that last night. It was pretty hilarious.
It's so good.
If you guys haven't seen it yet, I was cracking up.
Wendy with doing the circles.
Yeah.
He's so happy he texted her back.
Yeah, it was great. He was using it to reply to messages, and then of course they all got caught using it for
Actually made me
school
really
stuff.
sad.
Yeah, right.
Allie was like, this is so depressing because this is probably like really happening a lot. And it's like, yeah,
For
probably
like the
is.
younger crowd.
Yeah, even the older crowd.
Well, even the older crowd, but
yeah, there's I'm sure that's happening in schools where these girls are all, oh my gosh, look at these messages. He's so thoughtful.
Romantic.
And then he's like, and she's trying to talk to him about it, and she's like, hey, I couldn't believe you said the same thing happened to you. And he was like, yeah.
It was funny. Jada and I watched that episode together, and she was like, Did you really write that song about the squirrels?
You're like, yeah, I promise. Then you go to ChatGPT. How do you convince your girlfriend that I actually wrote the song? It was great. So anyway, they've got this model here with chat. It's a ChatGPT voice model, but they're also now starting to add facial recognition or facial expression, so like you can start to see concern and worry and empathy. You know, some of these things, they're starting to try to convey emotions with robots, where he'll say like, oh, did you know this bad thing's happening? They're like, what? Shock. You know, like, hold on, she'll do it in just a second. It's not the best yet, but it is very interesting. They're getting way more good. Yeah, way more detailed than it's ever been in the past. It is definitely kind of creepy.
I mean, it's definitely creepy, but I didn't think any of the expressions were different. I thought they all looked the same to me.
You got to watch the whole thing. They definitely.
I only watched like 2 or 3.
I showed you the end of it. Like, hold on, they'll do one of them here in just a minute. And it's better if you can hear it too. Her voice is kind of creepy.
Can they hear?
No, it's muted.
Okay.
I've got it muted here because it's a weird. There's a weird audio right now.
It's weird. It doesn't even look real.
Well, no, but scared.
I mean, it doesn't even look like a real robot. Like, it looks like CGI.
It does look. Well, yeah.
We're used to seeing it in movies.
Yeah, the Crypto Siva says iRobot. Yeah, it looks exactly like the robot from iRobot.
Wait, Johnny, didn't you say something earlier about like they're making like robot skin or something, Johnny? Weren't you telling me? Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So what is it? Robot skin?
Yeah, I seen where they had made some skin that was actually made out of human cells.
Oh God.
Skin cells. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
That they're putting on robots?
That they're gonna put on robots, yeah.
So like they can heal and
real
stuff?
feel.
Man, this is getting very Terminator.
Yeah, I don't think it was self-healing, but it was just like the fact that they were using real skin cells to be able to try to, manipulate make it look like it's real.
I'm not sure why you would want to do that for a robot, because like, isn't that one of our downsides, is that we have flesh that,
it's true.
Makes us vulnerable?
Well, but where's Will Smith when you need him?
Yeah, right.
Really.
I have a question. The Real Crypto Stevo said, TJ, can we talk about what I saw on Twitter today about NFTs on smart contracts really aren't owned by you? Did that dude have a good point, or is he just shilling e-gold?
Well, I didn't see what you saw on Twitter today, Crypto Stevo.
Yeah, maybe you can drop a link for us.
Yeah,
Stevo.
Twitter, what? So read it. Was it up here right now?
He said about NFTs on smart contracts really aren't owned by you.
I mean, there's some debates on where the data actually lives, the metadata. Like you might have access to the NFT and it's pointing to metadata that might be stored on an Amazon server that could potentially disappear one day. That is real. That's especially on a lot of Ethereum based NFTs. Now they're working on changing some of that stuff. That's why file storage, data storage type solutions are being created so heavily for Ethereum and other chains. Other chains do actually store the data on chain. That I guess that's what he's talking about. eGold. I'm not sure if that's how they do. I know ICP does it that way, and a handful of other ones. And that is a real problem within blockchains, specific, Ethereum and a lot of the earlier generation of blockchains for sure. Because yes, the smart contract is written and is executing, but it is executing things that are and is pointing to things that might be based on it, especially with NFTs when it's very heavily media based stuff. It's a lot of times hosted on Amazon web servers. So that might be what they're talking about. But again, without the context, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think I seen something where they were talking about updating a lot of that and putting it to where they hash a lot of that metadata. That way it can be verified, and you'll always have a copy of it. It's really new. I forget exactly who's doing it for free right now, where you can give them upload all your NFTs, and they'll actually do some kind of hashing for all the metadata and record it for you. Yeah, I forget which platform it is, but it's that is you're right. It's a
real thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is fully on chain for sure.
Right. All the ordinals and Bitcoin NFTs, 100% on chain. Once it's there, it will never go anywhere. And if you have it and you hold it, it's yours. Nobody can delete it. Where like right now, yes, like especially you talk about Bored Apes, you talk about Mutant Apes, a lot of that art, a lot of that data doesn't live on the Ethereum blockchain. The transaction ID and the hash does, but the data itself doesn't necessarily. So, all right, wanted to touch on this because we've talked a little bit previously on the show about Base, which is Coinbase's layer 2 scaling solution built on the OP software development kit. I thought this was pretty interesting. Now, also generally, Brian Armstrong been a lot more active on Twitter recently. I've noticed whether it's regulation related stuff, you know, basically he's just being a lot more talkative, using his voice as a leader. So I thought this was interesting. Now, even though they've been no plans of an airdrop, no plans of a token of any way of any kind, they've said. Obviously, they have to say that. But if he's just talking about this, if any developers are interested in trying out Base, reply with your ENS name or address, and I'll send you some Base. I don't know even how you would say that. Goalie ETH to use on the testnet. Yes, these are testnet coins. So they are starting. There are coins. There is a testnet. That doesn't mean there will be a token for this Base protocol that they're working on. But it means, to me, when I read this, it makes me think, they're at least working a testnet with a token that could change and could, you know, this is go early. Got it. Go early. So anyway, I just thought that was intriguing, something to keep an eye on. You know, if they were to launch a token for this thing, I think it would perform extremely well. I think they have a lot of advantages to be, you know, to compete with Polygon, to compete with Optimism as layer 2 scaling solutions on Ethereum. We went through kind of Brian Armstrong's thoughts written all the way back in 2016 about kind of the phases of Coinbase's mission to get Bitcoin and altcoins and digital assets, you know, out into the entire world. I think we're in about phase 2 or 3 of that plan right now, which does involve them, I believe, you know, working on a lot of these things and working on the infrastructure of blockchains themselves, not just the exchange layer and the fiat to crypto rails, which just been really interesting to keep an eye on. I'm very intrigued with what they're doing, not only on the regulation side, because I do think they're doing a lot of good work there and are set up well, but also on the actual blockchain project development side. This is just very intriguing to me. So something to keep an eye on. On the inverse of that, also something very good. I don't know why, when I was looking at this earlier, it was showing Brian Armstrong had replied to this, which I thought was pretty cool, but maybe it's just not showing up. But Uniswap protocol, higher volume than Coinbase for 2 months in a row, which is pretty impressive, basically. So here we've got the graph here that shows, you know, all the different decentralized exchanges and the volumes on them, you know, Uniswap being the purple here. So it looks like if we're looking at February 23, March 23, I mean, just Uniswap just dominates when it comes to decentralized exchange volume. You know, so I do think that's going to continue. I do think we've seen a lot of issues with centralized exchanges. People don't want to have things get stuck there. I wonder if this will link back to, nope. Well, let's look. Oh, hey, there we are. Brian Armstrong. Let's see if I can see where he replied to this, because I thought he had a pretty, where did it go? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so he basically said, congratulations and well-deserved. We should clarify this refers to Coinbase's centralized exchange, though. Coinbase also uses Uniswap in our DEX trading products. So we are, in fact, the front end of some of the volume labeled Uniswap. It's collaborative. Uniswap is awesome. So they said we love, but basically what they're saying is some of what they're counting right here is coming from Coinbase. They're it's Coinbase using Uniswap. So, but I do like that he says we're DeFi fans. He's pushing them forward, building them up. Hey, let's share this. I've just been really impressed with him stepping up to the plate lately. He's been a little too silent, in my opinion, up until recently. So just really appreciate him stepping up and bringing more things to the table. So, this was another thing I thought that would be worth mentioning. Daniel Allegra, maybe we'll say. He's now over at Yuga Labs, but chief executive, CEO of Yuga Labs. But this was just a couple days ago or end of March. He says, today's my last day as president and COO of Activision Blizzard. Obviously, if you guys aren't familiar with Activision Blizzard, one of the biggest gaming companies in existence right now. Thank you to the incredible teams who create truly epic games. Tomorrow, I officially start at CEO of Yuga Labs. Could be more excited for this next chapter. This is a pretty big ad for Yuga Labs. Now he's being their CEO. Again, with having ties back to Activision, if you look at what they're doing with Other Deeds, Metaverse Lands, and some of that sort of stuff. Is it Other Side? Other Side Metaverse Lands. They having somebody of this caliber on board with this level of connections shows that they could really turn it into a Fortnite-esque type of experience, which would be really cool to me. Have any of you guys been in Other Side messing with it much recently? I know they've been developing something. You haven't played with it at all, Johnny?
No, you gotta have like a NFT to participate in a lot of that stuff right now.
All right. Well, we've got some, so we should start.
I like I looked at a lot of the Other Side. I was like thinking about getting one. It's like 1 to 2 ETH or whatever for some of the lower ends. But there's like all of like these like materials or like the minerals and codas, and I don't know like what it means.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like I'm looking at a Magic card and I don't know the rules. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what any of it meant, so I was like, I don't know if I should. Do I want the ice or the fire? Like, I don't know what it meant.
Well, and I think that's some of that. I think is by design because of the gamesmanship of like play and discover and figure it out. But yeah, I do think it's especially for new people, it's going to be extremely overwhelming. Kind of like I played a game called League of Legends, and when I first tried to describe that to somebody else, like, oh yeah, I'll teach you how to play. There's a lot of little tiny, oh, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. Resource management really matters. Don't do this too early. Oh, you bought that. Oh, you're screwed now for the rest of these next 30 minutes. You're just have fun. But try not to feed and don't screw the rest of us. But anyway, I just wanted to say I thought this was a pretty big addition. I'm not a huge NFT collector. Yuga is one that I think sets the bar high, does a lot of things right. And I think they've got a lot of momentum and a lot of interest, a lot of brand, a lot of hype, and they are poised to do extremely well through this next bull market through 24 and 25. Adding top level talent like this, it gives me hope that other side really could be the Web3 Fortnite. I mean, if it's not going to be Fortnite, because Fortnite, I mean, it just changes so much, and what they're adding and implementing. I see clips now from Fortnite. I'm like, this is Fortnite. This thing looks. Yeah. Are you playing Fortnite again, Frank, or no? I used to play a lot, right?
I used to love Fortnite, like back in the day. Actually, in like way back when it first came out, I played a lot. And then I haven't played in a long time. Tried to play like somewhat recently, got absolutely wrecked. I was like, this game is completely different. But then it just became fun again. I played actually down here with Joel one day.
Yeah.
And it's fun again. It's so fun again. And yeah, it's awesome. So I want to try to play more. It's also very metaversy. So
yeah, I have a confession to make.
All right.
Basically, when Jada, she works at the restaurant some days, and when she works night shifts, when I get home, I don't have anything to do until like midnight when she gets home, and I've been playing a pretty good, decent amount of Fortnite.
Yeah.
I like how the seasons like they change every like couple weeks. It's never the same. So I like watch like Tfue and Zemi on YouTube, and I like kind of learn the meta strategies from them, and like I'm kind of a beast. I'm kind of good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like a 10-year-old kid just stomps me, but then other times I'll win like 4 games in a row, and I'm just like, oh, okay. But yeah, Fortnite's a very addicting game, and I should probably just stick to trading all day and never play. But it's really hard to not.
Hey, you gotta take a break sometimes, right? You gotta rest the mind. Yeah. And also, if we all start playing Other Side, and if it's very similar, I don't know if it's gonna be similar. It could be completely different. But if we can all start playing that, then it's work, right? And it's true. There's something to it.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
Chemistry Bro says what Epic Games are doing is interesting. They have built a system where you can now build games in the Fortnite engine. It's going to become a marketplace for games within the Fortnite ecosystem as people
broke the
build
industry.
more and more complex stuff. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, the creative is what's that? Like they even have like the original Fortnite map. Now you can like go into creative and play it. It's not with a full 100 people, but it's with 30 people, and like everyone loves it because they love like the nostalgia of playing the first map, like Tilted Towers and stuff. And like what you can do in creative now, it's literally mind blowing. The stuff that you can build, like it's
so
wild.
They really are building out a metaverse kind of platform that allows other creators to create other things.
Yeah. They're basically allowing people to create new games like on Fortnite.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Within their user base, within their ecosystem.
Yeah.
It says Roblox for man children. That's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean it's fascinating, and seeing the way if that's obviously the same direction Other Side is trying to head. It was like, look, we have a market or a platform, we have an audience, we have some hype, a brand, some interest, some attention. Now, if we can maintain it, create reasons for people to come into this world to do things. I do think with NFTs, there's going to be a lot of possibilities. I've always kind of felt like, at least previously, that what we were going to see when it came to a major Web3 game was a pivot from a major Web2 company moving into Web3 rather than a Web3 startup actually coming up and competing. And maybe this could be what we see Yuga kind of versus Epic Games in this battle, where if Epic Games continues down the path that they're on, it will probably go extremely well for them to lead into Web3, whereas Yuga also could come up and eat into that market share. So, yeah, so that's what we have there. We're going to hit one more story before we wrap up, I believe. What do we got going on here? Oh, he's just going to watch. Hey, you want to, here, go to the wide shot, and you can lean over and wave at everybody. Go to the wide shot. Guys, so you can meet the newest. You gotta lean in more than that. You're gonna have to stand in front of Frank. Lean in.
A little more.
Yeah, there's Owen, everybody. Well, he wants to watch. He's learning to push the button. So we just brought on another TD guy, creative director, technical director, that's gonna be helping us with a lot of stuff here. So his name's Owen. Yeah, everybody be nice. So.
Yeah, be nice.
No, I thought this, speaking of DeFi, speaking of rails and things we need in crypto in the future, Binance Self-Custody Wallet launches crypto to fiat off-ramp. So you guys know I'm a big fan of Trust Wallet. I've talked about it a decent amount in the past. I know a lot of people here in the office use it. So Trust Wallet has partnered with MoonPay and Ramp to allow customers to convert, which you guys, if you guys know NFTs, you've probably heard of MoonPay. To customers to convert their crypto to fiat without using any centralized exchange. It's a pretty big deal. Trust Wallet, the non-custodial multi-chain crypto wallet, has partnered with Ramp and MoonPay to introduce seamless crypto to fiat withdrawals for its users. Partnership will allow the wallet users to convert crypto to fiat directly within the wallet app. So you can see right here, you can go buy, sell. You could swap tokens already, but now you can convert back, basically to fiat dollars and back. Then you can do your spending through there. They've got cards and everything already. So now if you wanted to have, now you still have to have a bank account, I would think, to do that, because that's what you're going to have to hook to Ramp. But if you want to be able to do it without a third party, like a Gemini or Coinbase, where you have complete custody of your coins the entire time, great addition to see from Trust Wallet, which is Binance's #1 wallet. So there you go. Just wanted to share that with you guys.
Back to the gaming, Razmataz said, have you guys seen what Paima Studios are doing? Cardano users can play any Web3 game using their own ADA wallets.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're handling a lot of the swaps on the back end, probably, and some of the bridging if you're using Cardano across all different Web3 games, because most Web3 games are going to be Ethereum based. So that's interesting to see how they're doing that. No, I have not seen that, Razmataz. Maybe send it our way. We'll check it out in the future. Yeah, another Exodus fan down there. I think we're actually gonna have a call with Exodus here pretty soon. So somebody from this show actually tweeted it out on Twitter. Said, hey, I tested the Exodus wallet based on you guys' recommendation, because TJ spoke so highly of it and I really like it. And then somebody from the Exodus team replied to it. So we're having a call with them here pretty soon. Cool. I think I think I've told you guys this before. I had a call with them back in like 2019. I had to try to get him with Mark Moss and BitBoy Crypto way back then, and they didn't want to do it. So
weird.
Their loss.
I must say, for just hot wallets and stuff, Exodus is solid.
Yeah, it's a good wallet.
Exodus was one of the first wallets I ever used when I first got in the crypto. And even for staking, Cardano or Cosmos or Algorand or whatever, Exodus is solid for hot wallet pick. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
They were early on. I mean, obviously it works well now, but back when we were first talking to them, they were really pioneering the push. What did they call it? Basically, it's staking as a service, but it's like push button staking, where you like 1 to 2 clicks, you can take your assets from not being staked to being staked without having to go through all the headache of what it does to do it. So like if you stake Cardano, it's the easiest possible place to stake Cardano. You put it in that wallet, you hit one, you hit stake, boom, it's staked. Same
and if you want to sell, just click sell and it's boom. You don't have to lock up or anything.
Right. And now there are different lockups with different, like Cosmos has a 21-day, so it's going to have to still unlock by the typical blockchain standards. But as far as the tech side of things, it's very, very easy. 1-2 clicks, which not many other people can say that. So good on them for getting that done. So
a question for Johnny. Dave Digital asks, what's the next OP? I guess, is that Optimism?
Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mostly right now, obviously,
gotta get in that mic. Yeah.
Everybody's paying attention to the ZK. I think that's gonna be a little bit ain't gonna come out as quickly as people think.
You're talking about,
ZK
right?
Sync.
Yeah.
Of course, Darknet's pretty up on my radar to try to get in on their drop.
Yeah, I would say Starknet's the next ARB. It's the next airdrop everybody's chasing. It may not be the next OP, but it's definitely the next airdrop.
Yeah. But mostly, just staying on. For me personally, obviously ETH. That's where I stay at on the Alt2s. I think they show the most promise and most most adoption in the Western financial world. I don't think that that's going to stop. So, trying to deviating outside of Ethereum and L2s, of course, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. That's a separate thing. But as far as trying to make some money, I think that Ethereum offers the best bangs for their buck, I guess, because they're still developing so much stuff on their platforms as far as DeFi, as far as different types of NFT platforms. I mean, just all kinds of stuff, and it plugs right into their network. And I don't know if you're familiar with network effect, but that goes a long way when you're trying to talk about mass adoption. And I think the chances of a lot of these other protocols, again, if you believe in network effect, the chances of them hitting what is it, critical escape velocity?
Yeah, critical mass, basically.
Critical escape velocity. That's even that's
tougher.
even tougher for them. So try to just look at some of the Ethereum. Try to stick with some of the people that are more reputable. That's what I usually do, especially when I'm looking at DeFi. I always try to stick with people that had financial instruments aside from just DeFi. If you find a DeFi platform and it's just somebody that you've never heard of, the chances of that being maybe not on the up and up are a lot more riskier than if you find a DeFi platform that is from I'll give you an example, like Gamma, for example. I'd never heard of Gamma, but when I started looking into Gamma, I started realizing that, man, this is a whole network of financial instruments that they had prior to their DeFi platform. So it made me a little bit more comfortable to say, you know what, I don't think I'm going to wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden this DeFi platform is drained, because at the end of the day, that's our biggest risk, is being hacked or, being misguided by somebody that didn't have our best interests to begin with. So,
yep.
Chemistry Bro said, Johnny, you are looking for Sui drop as well, right?
Sui, yeah.
Well, I kind of took part in a little bit of that, but really, like I said, most of my focus is on Ethereum, honestly. But I think Sui's gonna be real cool. I know Drew is highly involved in trying to get that airdrop. Me and him have been doing a few of those things. I know I did some NFT stuff on there. Really, a lot of airdrops interest me, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's the L2s that are got my peak right now.
Yeah,
we'll see what gets built on Su and Aptos, and that's what I try to look at it for those particular blockchains. What's going to be built on them and how long they're going to be around. But if you can catch it before it pops up and all that type of stuff, I'm all about making money. Just make sure to take your profits. Don't write it all the way back down. That's
Rug Gang asking, is Johnny the airdrop sniper? I think that he is.
Yes.
Airdrop Johnny. That's what we should call him. Chemistry Bro says he's focusing on Starknet, Sui, Layer 0, ZK Sync as drops. He's looking to get into. And Crimson Caravan Company said, yeah, me, you, me, and everyone else. So yeah, those are the top drops I would say to keep an eye on for everybody. I don't know too much about Layer 0, but a lot of those other ones, obviously.
Layer 0, yeah. That's what I'm in.
I always tell people on my show that Johnny was shilling OP to me, forever ago. Before anybody was talking about OP, before anyone knew what it was, Johnny was like, bro, you got to get on an OP. And I didn't listen to him, and I should have. So take that for a lesson if you're listening to Johnny.
Yeah, same thing. I wish I listened to Johnny with OP. But to follow up on what Johnny said, the content team and Ben, we just released a video last night on how to profit on airdrops. So if you want to learn how to get in on airdrops, make sure to go to BitBoy Crypto 10 p.m. last night. It's a really good video.
Love that. Perfect. So that's pretty much. I had one more thing and now I lost it. Where did it go? Dgens 11 says, what's up, basement? Next bull run, what is the best way to take profits? I have everything on a ledger. So would you say transfer to an exchange and sell for stable? Wouldn't there be a lot of fees? Yeah, there's going to be fees. I mean, generally speaking, yes, that's going to be your best way to take profits. I just showed you kind of how to do it on Trust Wallet, through MoonPay, but the fees are going to be even higher on MoonPay than there would be on a centralized exchange. So yeah, generally speaking, you would transfer off your ledger to your exchange of choice. You could swap it to a stable. You could swap it to actual dollars if you're going to be withdrawing, and then take profits that way. You're going to pay fees, but the idea is you're going to have so much profit that you don't mind paying a little bit of fees.
Gotta pay to play.
It's not absorbent amount if you've made decent amount of profit. If you made $100, you're going to feel the fees. If you're talking about loading up now in the bear market and selling in a few years, you're going to be happy to pay those fees to get that money. I promise. So, But that's all we have time for today, guys. We do have 400 and almost 500 people in the chat, only 190 likes. So if you guys could stop what you're doing on the way out, smash that like button. We're trying to get the word out there for Bitcoin. Kapow! Perfect timing. Tell a friend about Bitcoin. Tell somebody about Ethereum. Maybe a ZK rollup. Maybe a layer 2 solution. Don't overwhelm them all at once. But get the word out there. Shout out to all of you basement dwellers. David Brumblebee, Gary's Guzzler, Fluffy the Sheep, Crypto, Shrimpy Scapegoat, Round Say Miguel, Casino Dog, You Mainly Crypto, Dave Digital, Chef Crypto, Rug Gang, Pooh78 Div, Miami Alpha, Doral, Chemistry Bro, Dave Digital, Razmataz, Agent Brown Sugar, Corey, Mike Volmer. We love all of you guys.
See you
Go
tomorrow.
hang out with Joel. Go subscribe to Hit Network Gaming. We're gonna play some Fortnite, maybe some other side.
Oh, hey. And listen to Johnny.
Yeah, listen to Johnny. Follow Frankie's channel. Frankie Candles.
Yes, Frankie Candles, baby.
All right.
Live at 545.
All right, we're out of here.
Bing bong.
Bye.